I lived a quiet, peaceful life on my own land, far away from the noise, the rules, and especially the drama that comes with nosy neighbors or bossy HOA boards. My home sat proudly on open ground, surrounded by fresh air, tall trees, and the freedom only landowners truly understand. Nothing bothered me, until the day HOA Karen decided to make my life her personal project. It was a calm morning. I was sitting on my porch with a warm cup of tea, enjoying the silence, when I heard fast footsteps approaching. I looked up and saw a middle-aged woman marching toward me like a storm in human form. Her walk was stiff, her chin pointed upward, and she clutched a thick file under her arm as if it were a weapon. Even from far away, I could sense the arrogance. Before I could say a single word, she planted herself right in front of me and snapped. "You should be ashamed. You are breaking multiple HOA rules, and I've officially filed a lawsuit against you." For a moment, I thought she was joking. A lawsuit? Against me? On my land? Which wasn't even inside their HOA. I almost laughed, but her expression was dead serious. Somehow, she truly believed she had authority over me. I calmly replied, "Ma'am, my property is not part of your HOA. You can't file anything against me." She scoffed loudly, like my words personally offended her. "I know what I'm doing. I'm the head of the HOA here. People like you don't get to ignore our rules." She opened her folder and waved a few printed pages in my face as if that made her powerful. But the papers were nothing more than generic violation forms, forms that had absolutely nothing to do with my home. She hadn't even bothered to verify anything. I stood up, walked inside, and came back with my official land documents, complete with government seals, surveys, and clearly marked boundaries. I placed them on the table in front of her and said politely, "Here, read this. My property is 800 meters outside your HOA boundary. You have no jurisdiction over me." She hesitated before picking up the file. As soon as she flipped the first page, her face changed. The confidence drained out of her like air from a punctured balloon. She stared, blinking rapidly, as if hoping the lines on the map would magically rearrange themselves. Still, Karen was Karen. Instead of admitting she was wrong, she tried to save face. This could be wrong. I looked at the map myself. I took out my phone and opened the official government mapping website. Zooming in, I showed her the exact boundary lines glowing clearly on the screen. "Here," I said calmly. "Your HOA ends here. My land begins here. You have zero authority." She squinted, looked again, then again, but there was no escaping the truth. It was right in front of her, in ink and pixels. She stepped back, flustered, clutching her thick file as if it could protect her damaged pride. Without apologizing, she turned around sharply and snapped, "This isn't over." But we both knew it was already over. The very next day, she marched into the local office to pursue her so-called lawsuit. And within 3 minutes, the officer reviewing her case dismissed it with a single sentence. "The defendant is not part of your HOA. Case rejected." That was it. 3 minutes. Her entire battle plan fell apart faster than a house of cards. Later, neighbors told me how she returned home looking defeated, muttering excuses, trying to blame bad maps, and confusing boundaries. But the truth was simple. She had embarrassed herself. She had marched into a fight without checking facts, fueled purely by her desire to control someone who didn't answer to her. And I remained exactly where I belonged, on my own land, living freely, untouched by HOA drama or power-hungry neighbors. My property was mine, my rules were mine, and no Karen could change that. To this day, whenever I see her walking by the road, she avoids eye contact. Maybe she remembers how the law shut her down in just 3 minutes. Maybe she finally understands that not everyone lives under her imaginary authority. Either way, I still enjoy my morning tea on my peaceful porch, knowing one thing for sure. Freedom tastes even better when someone tries, and fails, to take it away. When HOA Karen filed her ridiculous lawsuit against me, I thought the whole situation wouldn't last more than a day. After all, my house wasn't even in her HOA. But the real fun began the next morning, when she confidently marched into the local office with her stack of papers, thinking she had some kind of ultimate authority. I, on the other hand, stayed at home. I wasn't stressed, worried, or even slightly nervous. Why would I be? The law was on my side. Still, I was curious about how quickly her case would fall apart. I didn't have to wait long. The answer came faster than I expected. Around noon, I received a short message from the officer handling her complaint. Case dismissed in 3 minutes. She left furious. 3 minutes. That was all it took for her entire plan to crumble like wet paper. But let's rewind to what actually happened. Karen walked into the office as if she owned the building. Her heels clicked loudly on the floor, her hair was pulled back tight, and she held her lawsuit folder like it was a royal decree. The clerk at the counter gave her a polite smile, unaware of the chaos about to unfold. "I'm here to follow up on my lawsuit," Karen said proudly, sliding her folder forward. The employee opened it, glanced at the top few pages, and frowned. Violation of HOA rules. Property maintenance fines. Architectural approval forms. He flipped through the documents, confused. "Ma'am, this looks like standard HOA paperwork." Karen folded her arms. "Yes, because he broke our rules. He has to be held accountable." The clerk raised an eyebrow. "And this homeowner is part of your HOA community." "Of course," she snapped impatiently. "He thinks he's above the rules, but he's not." The clerk typed the homeowner's address into the system. The moment the map loaded on his screen, he paused. Then he zoomed in. Then zoomed out again. Just to be sure. He turned the screen slightly. "Ma'am, this house is not inside your HOA." Karen blinked. "What do you mean? I know every house in my area." "He is inside the HOA." "No," the clerk said, pointing at the glowing boundary lines. "Your HOA ends here. His property is located way outside the registered area. You have no legal standing." Karen's confident smile vanished instantly. That can't be right." She stuttered. "Maybe your system is outdated." "We updated it last month," the clerk replied calmly. "This information is accurate. The defendant is not under HOA jurisdiction." He stamped her paperwork with a bold red mark. "Case invalid. No authority. Total time, 3 minutes and 12 seconds. Karen's jaw hung open as the clerk handed her papers back. "You can't reject this," she barked. "Ma'am," he said with patience slowly fading, "even if we wanted to, we legally cannot process a claim from an HOA against someone outside the HOA. This case is dismissed." Karen stood frozen, her face shifting between shock, anger, and embarrassment. She snatched the papers, mumbled something about fixing the boundaries herself, and stormed out of the building. When she reached her car, she sat inside for a long moment, staring at the stamped rejection like it had personally betrayed her. Maybe she was imagining how she would explain this to her HOA board. Maybe she was realizing that all her arrogance had led her into a fight she never had a chance of winning. Meanwhile, back at my home, I was sitting on my porch enjoying another peaceful afternoon. The sun was warm, and the quiet breeze made the trees sway gently. My neighbor walked over and said, laughing, "She came back 20 minutes ago. Looks like she swallowed a whole lemon." I chuckled. Did she finally understand she has no authority over me? "She understands now," he said. But she sure didn't like the lesson. Later that evening, I checked the official system myself, and sure enough, the lawsuit was marked as dismissed. Not only dismissed, but rejected so fast it was almost funny. In those 3 minutes, everything Karen tried to build collapsed. Her fake confidence, her imaginary power, her belief that she could control someone outside her boundary, all gone. The next day, I saw her walking down the street. She avoided eye contact, clutched her folder tightly, and crossed to the other side of the road. The woman who once tried to dictate how I should live couldn't even look in my direction anymore. The best part, she now knew, without any doubt, that the law wasn't on her side. Not then, not ever. And I remained right where I belonged. On my own property, free from her rules, free from her drama, and free from anyone who thought they could control what they never owned. Freedom didn't just win. It shut her down in 3 minutes.